inside. Boston going to work. Scores off the backboard. 4 seconds to go. Boston to Hull. Left wing. Fires a three. Good! Hull heads with .3 to go in the third. Woo!
All right, Danielle. Well, it's week 21 of the WNBA season and the W Hoops podcast. We just wrapped up the semifinals, and Indiana unfortunately got knocked out by Vegas. But boy, what an effort by them, and two great games this week. And I wouldn't have seen it coming, to be honest, with all the injuries and issues they've had this year.
Yeah, it was really amazing. Of course, you always want to win, but like I think I sent in a text. I think it was the best loss I've ever seen. Like they just wouldn't give up, and they had really every reason to. And so to push it to overtime in game five was really impressive. And yeah, you're left feeling very optimistic for the future for Indiana.
Yeah, so you know, there's a lot to talk about for the future of the WNBA. I think maybe we'll just start with the games this week, and we may have to do a separate podcast on all the other goings on because there's really the bigger news in the week wasn't the playoffs. There were
Right, not at
things
all.
overshadowing the playoffs, but I think we need to do that maybe in a we'll have two shorter podcasts this week depending on how much we talk. But let's start with the games. Let's do address the basketball that
Mhm.
happened this week. And game four was that was just a lot of fun. On Sunday, the Fever pulled out a big win at home. It was just a lot of fun to see.
Yeah, they played really well, and they that was a like a must-win game. The series was going to be over if they lost, and yeah, just played really well. And like just made good adjustments. And I thought Boston played incredibly well and really all series against Asia, which Asia in theory is the best player and the best defender in the league. So for AB to hold her own against Asia is really impressive.
Yeah, Boston had a great game. I think she ended up with 24 points. Mitchell had 25. But yeah, she played great defense the whole series on Asia. And yeah, those two, just the two big best players for Indiana came through when they need them to. It was a really good win.
Yeah, and then there was some noise after the game in the press conference. Asia said that Boston says that she said, I guess in the last game, that she has a special whistle. And then Asia's like, oh, but she shot 13 free throws or whatever. But I mean, it was pretty lame for Vegas to be complaining about fouls. I mean, you can complain about the officiating if you want, but to complain about foul disparity is a little ridiculous. I think Asia shot over 100 more free throws than anyone else in the league this year, or something crazy like that. And she shot way more than Aaliyah in the same number of games in the playoffs. So, yeah,
Yeah, well, what Kathy Engelbert would tell Asia that only losers complain about the officiating, right? So
right,
I
right.
guess Asia's just a loser.
Yeah,
But
but I went back and watched it because when we were watching it live, we were like, why do they keep it felt like they were having other players guard Boston so much, and it's like, what are they doing? Megan Gustafson and Melissa Smith can't guard AB. But I went back and watched it and was kind of keeping track of how often each player was guarding each other. And at the end of the first half, Boston had scored 4 times, and 2 times were on Asia and 2 times were on the other two players. But she had been guarded by Asia on 20 possessions and only by the others on five. So, like, anytime Boston wasn't being guarded by the others, she was really taking advantage of it. And even if she wasn't scoring, she was drawing fouls on them. And then, um, let's see. Yeah, basically at the in the end, Boston guarded Wilson on 6D possessions, and I think there were only 5 possessions where Indiana had other players guard her. And Wilson guarded Boston 42 possessions, and they got a couple of switches right at in the start of the third. Vegas scored 5 quick points, and Stephanie White had to call a timeout. And then right after that, they started setting cross screens with the bigs, and Vegas just switched that every time. And then Boston ends up with whether it was Melissa or Megan on her, and just scored pretty much every time, or was fouled by them. And so that was one thing, is just like the way they were defending it, and then how often Boston ended up being guarded by Megan Gustafson or Melissa Smith. And then the other thing that like is very disingenuous of Vegas to be like, oh, the free throw disparity, is that they were down at the end of the game and started fouling. And in
Mm,
the last minute, Indiana shot 10 free throws
mm.
because Vegas was fouling. And I think one of them was a technical, one of them was a Becky technical because she called a timeout she didn't have.
Oh, right.
Which that was funny because they showed in the timeout and you heard her say, I have two timeouts and a reset, and the screen clearly shows one and a reset.
Right.
Um, so yeah, there was a free throw disparity, but Asia, we didn't defend Asia that well. I counted seven like basically wide open layups that she got. So
Mm.
she wasn't getting fouled, she was just getting layups. And then the other shots she was taking were like jumpers, kind of, she does not quite a fadeaway, but kind of a step back, and where she's not seeking out contact. Whereas Boston is often seeking out contact or at least getting it in the post. So, like, there was a free throw disparity, but it was a lot just how the game was going. And then the majority of the difference was just the last minute where Vegas was intentionally fouling.
Yeah. Well, two things I want to discuss a little bit from that analysis of the game. One was the timeout situation. I mean, that was like a total mess up by one of the assistant coaches. It seemed like pretty clear there was a guy sitting behind the bench who kind
Hmm.
of covered his face.
On the
And
hot seat. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, it's like that poor guy. I felt bad for him, but it's like, come on. I mean, I think even Ryan Rucco mentioned it
I think so.
on the
It is a weird
broadcast.
rule. I don't love that. I like that they have the challenge and they need it, but it is a weird rule because if you're correct, you still, on your second one, you lose the time. You still are charged the timeout. So it doesn't totally make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, it is stupid,
But
but
it's the rule.
it's the rule, and they should know it. The coaches
Yeah.
should know it. And I mean, supposedly it's the job of the assistants to keep head coaches informed of, but the head coach should be able to kind of keep track of that also,
Yeah.
but
And it
it's
says
on the
on the score,
assistant.
like if you're in the
Yeah,
arena, there's a
you can
scoreboard. It shows.
you can see it. Yeah, and yeah. I mean, and if there's a disparity, if you ask your assistant how many we have, it says two. It's like the scoreboard says we have one. Let's go talk to the official scorer and figure this out in a break or
Or
something.
even like in a close game, why not ask and confirm, hey, we have two,
Yeah.
right? Like it doesn't hurt to do that.
No, yeah. Have while you're talking to the team, hey, go confirm we have two left. So
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't hurt. Yeah, so that was, I mean, that's just like amateur hour coaching. I mean, that's bad. That's like a bad mistake to make. But the other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is, we like you said, we thought while we watched the game live, is like, why are they having so many other people guard Boston? But it sounds like in the second half they were intentionally setting cross screens to make that
Hmm.
happen, and I love that. I often wonder why teams don't do that simple action more often just to create openings. Don't have your best post player start ball side and try to post up ball side, post
Yep.
up weak side, and
Hmm.
either reverse the ball and get the defender on the your best player's hip in the post because they're in theory, they'd be helping off ball toward the ball. And then if you reverse quickly, you can then get the ball, get good position, deep position, hopefully with the defender on your hip, or just start weak side and set a cross screen. And then if
Yeah.
it, I'm really glad to hear that that's what, I don't think I noticed it live that that was the
Right.
action that was happening, but
Right. Well,
that's
we were
great
just
to
like,
hear.
why is Megan guarding AB? But like, yeah, the screen was happening first.
Yeah, and I don't know, especially when your four is not a threat to be a three-point shot. Why have Howard floating around at the three-point line trying to stretch the defense when they're not? I mean,
Right.
the best thing you can hope for with Howard at the three-point line is to draw a defensive 3-second call. I mean, because her defender is going to be just in the lane as long as possible, right? I mean, but I think if you have a poor. That sounds like a great adjustment by Coach White and the staff. But
Yeah.
you should do that more often, I think. If you have a four who's in a five, who neither one are great outside shooters, don't
Yeah.
play five out. Don't play four out. Play three out, two in.
Yeah.
Set
I would love
screen.
to see
Go
that with
high
Timpson.
low. Go high low. Do cross screens. I mean, they should be playing three out, two in almost all the time, and then sometimes have somebody come out, one of the posts come out and set a ball screen for Kelsey Mitchell or for Caitlin Clark. But I love to hear that that's what they're doing. I hope they incorporate
Yeah.
that more
And
often.
especially because Boston is such a good passer. It gives you just so many options and it's so dangerous.
Yeah, yeah. So well, that's really great. Um,
And the
so
other
yeah,
thing about that game, Odyssey Sims had 18 points, and they were so aggressive in transition. They were really getting out and scoring quickly. Or then Boston was just dominating. So they just did a great job of, yeah, just applying a lot of pressure.
yeah, yeah. So that was a fun game. Enjoyed watching that one live, and it's like, okay, probably going to lose game five in
At Vegas.
Vegas. It's probably not going to be
And
close, and
especially after the comments in the post game, for whatever reason, that really does influence how the
it does.
officiating goes in the
Yeah.
next game.
But surprise, surprise, game five, Indiana gave Vegas all they could handle.
They did. It was really like it felt like the perfect kind of summary of the season and ending to the season. Um, yeah, they hung close with, I think it was like maybe a 2 point game at the half. And then, I mean, they were hanging with them, but Boston did pick up a couple ticky-tack fouls. It was interesting that Steph White didn't challenge any of those. I thought I probably would have challenged the fourth or fifth one she got. But yeah, then of course Kelsey Mitchell goes down, and it's like poor Indiana. You just really feel for them. Like, how much does this have to happen to them? Um, and like it's like she stays down. They bring out a stretcher, which is scary. And yeah, at that point, you just kind of feel like, okay, this is the story of the season, injuries, and it's over
Right.
now. And like right away, I think Vegas, it was maybe a 4 point game. Vegas pushed it out to 9 almost immediately. And you think, okay, like, good job, Indiana. You got here. You tried. Kelsey's out. We've just lost too much.
Yeah.
But they came back and they competed and they um, were able to push it to overtime. And even with Boston fouling out, and I thought that was her last foul was also not a good call, I didn't think. But then even then to push it to overtime with Boston fouling out and then in overtime, Vegas just got hot from three and hit a bunch of threes, but they stuck with them. They didn't give up. You think, okay, Vegas has hit two threes, now it's over, but they kept scoring and they kept pushing it. Odyssey Sims was really good. It was just impressive.
It really was. I mean, to have them come back. I mean, Chelsea Gray hit this 1-3 in overtime right as the shot clock. I mean, and she's got
Yeah,
like the most horrible looking mechanics that somehow the shots go in. I mean, just this weird thing with her feet and the release is terrible. I mean, everything just looks horrible, but she's a really good clutch shooter.
very
I don't
insane.
understand it at all watching her shot, but yeah, I mean, she made a clutch shot. Jewel Lloyd made a big three. Jackie made one.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it wasn't
Yeah,
Asia at all in the
they were
overtime. It was the guards.
a Natasha Howard lane violation away from winning in regulation, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, that was kind of brutal. Mom and I just rewatched the second half in the overtime, and yeah, that lane violation was. I don't know if she just lost her balance, and fell in, because yeah, there's
Yeah.
just no
But
reason you're not
I
going to get
mean
the
that
rebound.
speaking of like differences in the game though, early was it like in the first couple minutes where Jules coming off a screen and it's two screens for Kelsey, I think Kelsey or Odyssey, I don't remember, and just runs into Lexi and shoves her with both arms. And they review it for a possible upgrade and look at it and like in their Rebecca and Ryan are like, oh yeah, that's absolutely unnecessary. That's going to be upgraded. And then they're like, nope, common foul.
Yeah, I mean, it was unbelievable. I told a friend I was talking to a couple of days after the game. I mean, it looked like a football play to me where
Yeah.
you've got a running back with the ball in the open field and he sees a defender and he just kind of intentionally lowers his shoulder and goes into the
Yeah.
defender.
Yeah, she just
And
chucked her.
yeah, she just chucked her. I mean, she could have easily at that point, I think we were talking about this earlier today. I mean, I think the smart basketball move there is just a switch. Like whoever was guarding Lexi had switched onto the, whether it was Odyssey or Kelsey, had switched, and she just needed to start guarding Lexi. It's like
Yeah.
the screen was useless at that point because they'd already switched. The ball was 5 feet away from Lexi.
Hmm. But
I mean,
also, what's so frustrating about that is that they reviewed it for an upgrade
yes.
and decided. It's one thing in live action, okay, they didn't see it, they didn't see the extension. Lexi falls on the ground all the time, and
Fair.
just common foul, move on. But that they reviewed it and said no, common foul was very much like Alana Smith last year in the finals game where they reviewed the call and like there's clearly no contact and they still come away with the foul.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was just another example to put in the pile of complaints about bad officiating.
Yeah.
And again,
And
how much of it
and I
is,
think was the sixth foul on AB the going for the loose ball with Jackie Young?
yeah, that was
Or was
when she
that
fouled out
yeah,
on the rebound. Jackie went up for, I think Jackie actually took the shot,
maybe
and
so.
then
But
they
they're
both
both
went
just
up for
going
the
for a
ball.
rebound.
Yeah, I mean, it was, if it was a foul, it was ticky tack for all the contact that they've allowed in the
Right.
season in that series. To call a foul on a rebound like that was just inconsistent. I mean, you want consistency more than anything else because people aren't perfect, and if they're going to let the game be a little physical, at least call it consistently on both sides, and then you can't complain as a coach or a player, right? As long as they're consistent. But that was
Sure.
not a consistent call with how that whole series was called. It was
Not at all.
it was just a bad call in the context of that series
Right.
and how things have been called. So yeah, that was, and then you take Indiana's best remaining player out of the game, but still, this was still the fourth quarter.
Hmm.
And Indiana still got it to overtime, but yeah, that was just so that was tough. But like you said, it's kind of a microcosm of the whole season in Game 5, the ups, the downs, the injury, and losing a
The
player,
resilience.
and the resilience. Yeah, just to hang in there, and ultimately not to make it over the hump to the championship. But maybe it's for the best. That the season's over. Let's start focusing on hopefully a season in 2026. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
and yeah, that just
unexpectedly successful season without Caitlin and all the other injuries throughout
well,
the
yeah, I mean,
season.
I think when we started at the beginning of the season, we said, wow, look at all the pieces they got, look at who they have. This is a semifinal team with a shot at the finals.
Right.
And then they lose Caitlin, they lose Ari, they lose Sydney, they lose Sophie, they lose Bibby, they lose Dantas.
Dantas.
Dantas was out this whole series. That would have
Yeah.
really helped to have Dantas, or
Yes,
the
it
whole
would have.
playoffs, right? She didn't play against Atlanta
Yeah,
either.
the whole playoffs. Yeah.
Um, and then to lose Kelsey Mitchell for the whole fourth quarter and Boston at the end of the fourth, and to still to push it to overtime in game five, and literally
On the
be
road.
on the road to be one lane violation or one missed call or one made shot away from the finals is just
Yeah.
incredible.
It was amazing. So I think, one thing, rewatching the a little bit of the end of Game 5. What one thing Ryan and Rebecca kept talking about was without Kelsey Mitchell, Odyssey Sims is the only player for Indiana who can create her own shot off the dribble.
Hmm.
And if we can transition a little bit to talking a little bit about the future, I think that's something that obviously Caitlin will change. They'll have
Hmm.
Caitlin, they'll have Kelsey, but they really need. I think I mentioned this earlier in the year. I'd really like to see Lexi develop some moves off the
Hmm.
dribble to be able to attack and not just be a 3 and D player who
Hmm.
stands in the corner, spaces the court. If you just have develop one move in this off season, and then
Yeah,
next
and
off season develop another move. Just
right.
focus on one move off the dribble that you can consistently execute and at least 25, 45, 50% of the time beat someone off the dribble, right? And help your team by being someone who can be dangerous with the ball in your hands, not just someone who spaces the court only. I think that was, if I were Indiana's coaching staff, that'd be one of the things I would say is, Lexi, let's work on one move that you're going to perfect that you can beat somebody off the dribble with.
Yeah, a couple things with that. One is that Caitlin back helps the spacing quite a bit. And like I
Yeah,
fully expect for Lexi to shoot close to 40% from three. I don't know what she ended up this year, but not great this year. Um, so like I think she'll score more on just those stand in the corner and make the bucket when Caitlin passes it to her, or Boston, or Kelsey has improved a lot as a passer.
she
Um,
has.
so I think that will be better already next year with Caitlin back. But then also she's doing Unrivaled this year, and 3-on-3, like you can't just stand in the corner and shoot the ball. Everyone
Yeah.
has to be a threat. So I think that'll help her. And Unrivaled, like they have an emphasis on like development, and they hire coaches that are good at player development. So I think that'll be good for her. But also she mentioned in the exit interviews that she's staying in Indy in the off season. So I think she'll be, you know, at wherever. I guess they probably practice at the practice facility or wherever they practice. She'll be there in the off season working, and then she'll play for 2 months and Unrivaled. So I think that's pretty ideal for her.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear because that's one thing I think that would really help Indiana to have just a little more depth. You can't have, just one or two people who can create offense off the dribble. You need
Hmm.
multiple threats for that.
And it is going back to Odyssey versus Aerie. It
Yeah.
is, I mean, but Aerie can create as well, but Odyssey is just a force. She's not always on, but man, when she is, she's pretty good.
Well, she's the kind of player I think I mentioned to you, what Bill Simmons would call irrational confidence guy. So
Right.
somebody who, man, she just thinks she can score. She thinks she can beat anybody off the dribble. She's not afraid of the moment. And you need players like that in moments like that, right? I
Hmm.
mean, Kelsey went out and you think it's over, but you got, the irrational confidence player stepping up and saying, fine, I can do this. No problem at all. They can't defend me. It's like,
Hmm.
okay, maybe they can't. She was right for
Yeah.
stretches of time. I mean, she had one stinker of a game. I think maybe
Hmm.
game two in this series is really bad, but I think she played really well in the other four games.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
think
a
didn't she get Asia to bite on like Asia attempted to steal the ball like I think at the end of the fourth, right? And she was able to get to the bucket.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, Asia made a bad decision, and I don't even know
mhm.
what Asia was doing at half court, out by
I don't
half
know.
court guarding. She should, yeah, let her get the ball there. Asia, you stay at the. Yeah, I don't know why players often do that kind of thing. That was just bad defense by Asia to
Yeah,
try to make a steal there. You didn't need it.
right.
You're up to just play good solid defense there. But yeah, yeah. I mean, Odyssey isn't the only one. I mean, there going to be some decisions like Chloe Bibby stepped up in moments.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough to decide. What are you going to do with the roster next year? And of course, for all teams, this is going to be kind of an unprecedented season with everybody except people on rookie deals being a free agent essentially.
Mhm.
It's hard to know what the roster is going to look like. It sounds like for Indiana, in the exit interviews that went on, that most of the players love the team, love the locker room environment, enjoy being there as part of the organization. And I think you said the one who is least enthusiastic was Natasha Howard that you heard, but even
Yeah,
she
it
was
just didn't
positive.
sound, yeah.
She was, and that could be personality more than anything else, right? Maybe how
Yeah,
she
I mean,
expresses
right.
herself.
Sure, sure. Yeah. It wasn't like, oh, I can't wait to be back here. And you understand also with negotiations going on, you don't want to be like, I'm coming back no matter what, and then,
Right, right.
get a low ball offer or something. But like, I think pretty much everyone said it was like the best team they've ever been on. The biggest team anyone's ever been on, certainly, probably. But yeah, it sounds like everyone really had a positive experience. I think Lexi said that like, something to the effect that like she's put down roots in Indy. Caitlin, I think, lives there in the off season. Um, Boston is on a rookie contract, but she says she loves Indy and it's great. Kelsey does. And Amber Cox said that the number one priority is re-signing Kelsey Mitchell, as it should be. Um, so yeah, I mean, things are looking really, really good. They were 1 point short of going to the finals with the hospital squad. So imagine if
Right.
they get healthy next year.
Yeah, I mean, clearly they're going to be one of the favorites if they're fully healthy and get the right roster. I still think there's a couple, you know, places they could beef up. So if you're the GM,
Yeah.
after signing Kelsey Mitchell, what would be the other your other number one priority?
Lexi would be. She's a restricted free agent. You got to get Lexi back. There's not, you can't replace Lexi. She's not, without Caitlin, she's not the best three-point shooter, but she makes such impactful plays and she does so many little things that don't show up in box scores. So Lexi would be number two for me. I would like to get Sophie back. She gives you a lot of versatility and um, she can kind of play two through four, one through four, I guess, because she was like the backup point guard at one point this season. Um, I would be happy to see Natasha Howard back, but I feel like there's other forwards out there that you could replace to get pretty similar production. It sounds like she was like her veteran presence was important on the team this year, so that's not something to underestimate, I think. But I think there are other forwards out there who could also play well with them. Um, and then to me, I mean, then you have obviously you have Caitlin, Boston, and Timpson on rookie contracts. I'm protecting all of them. I don't understand how the expansion um, drafts are going to work this year. And someone asked Kathy that in the presser yesterday, and she basically said, "Well, that can't be determined until we have a new CBA, but it'll be probably similar to what you saw last year for Golden State." But it doesn't make sense because unrestricted free agents can't be drafted. And so no one has more than six, like everyone got to protect six players. No one has more than six rookies. Maybe Dallas does actually. I don't know. Dallas ended up with so many rookies. Um, but how could you even draft anyone?
Right. Yeah, I
But
don't
so
know.
I assume you're getting, to me, you're bringing back Caitlin, Boston, and Timpson. That's a no-brainer. Mitchell, Lexi, Sophie. That's six. Then you have some hard decisions. You probably bring back one of Aerie or Odyssey. But then it also depends on what their priorities are. Are they going to want to go start somewhere? Are they going to get a bigger offer somewhere else? You have your two of your three best players are on very cheap contracts.
Right.
So that really
Which
puts
should
Indiana
help.
at an advantage. The two things that we've talked about is getting a defensive tall guard and getting a four, whether that's a
Yeah.
backup four or a starting four, to pair with AB who can stretch the floor and score.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so I had a new dream scenario. We've talked about Phoebich, which is not really realistic. What about Stewie? She will be a free agent.
I mean, what about Nafisa?
Well, Nafisa has a little stronger connection to Minnesota than Stewie does to New York.
Stewie's from New York.
Oh, well,
Stewie's not leaving New
fair.
York.
Well, that's a shame. Okay,
Jonquel,
it's a pipe dream.
but we can't play Jonquel. I bet Jonquel could get. I don't know, New York. It'll be interesting to see what New York does. It's really surprising that they fired Sandy. Um, but yeah, I'm just curious to see. Some of these super teams have been taking discounts because
Hmm.
if they have endorsement deals, the difference between
Right, right,
250 and 200 doesn't really impact their life that much.
right.
But if the salaries go up to $1 million, are they are you still going to take a discount there? So that'll be interesting to see. Um, in the super kind of if the super team era can continue for some of these teams, like can Vegas keep their core? Vegas has some shady deals going on the side that allow them to
Hmm.
basically give an extra $100,000 to all their players. And so, sure,
Hmm.
players are willing to sign under, and you can have four Olympians on the team because they're all getting lots of other money. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't see Stewie leaving New York.
Okay, well, that's a pipe dream then. That's too bad. So, all right. Well, I think probably, for now, that's enough talking about the fever. It's hard to know, really talk more about the future with so much uncertainty this year.
Hmm.
I think maybe we'll probably want to take a podcast just for fun to look at the draft, and we'll have to make some assumptions when we do that. Just assume some draft orders, and but we'll want to maybe do some future podcasts where we can talk more about the future of the Fever and what's coming for next year. But I think for now, just it was a fun year. It was a crazy up and down year with all the injuries, but the team really stuck together. And, I think they can be proud of themselves. I think the Fever fans are really proud of them and how they
Hmm.
represented the state and the city of Indy. And, I think you said that Ryan Rucco said on a podcast during the game that Indiana should sign Stephanie White to a lifetime contract. And she and her coaching staff did a great job this year. And
Really
so, yeah,
good.
just kudos to the Fever on a great season, given everything that they went through. I think, yeah, like you said, a semifinal appearance was probably what we thought would be best case scenario for them this year, most likely, and they did that. So, I mean, that's just amazing. So, yeah, great season, a lot of fun, and looking forward to having more clarity on the off season. All right. Well, I think that's it for the W Hoops podcast today. Everyone, please be sure to subscribe and leave a comment or review, and we'll see you next week.